Times Terrestrial, Channel 127, Free TV, Channel 507, People's TV, Channel 285, and UHF, Channel 38.
You're welcome back. You are stay tuned to ASO Morning on ASO TV, transmitting live here on the center of Nigeria, the Katampe Hill in Abuja. You are welcome to this segment. I told you that we are going to have a guest in the studio, and our guest will be discussing money politics in Nigeria. We will be looking at the causes of money politics. We'll be looking at the impact, that is the effect, whether it is negative or positive, and we also look at a way out of it, the mitigation. What are we going to do to see that it is going to stop, because it is a bend to our political landmark in this country. With me to discuss or to explore this very particular topic is Mr. Chukwunonso Ndianefo, Labour Party Executive Member, Abuja Municipal Area Council. So he's a politician, he's in the system, and I think he'll be doing justice to what we'll be discussing. Mr. Chukwunonso, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. Let's just go straight to, can you define what money politics is? What is the meaning of money politics in Nigeria, and how pervasive is this phenomenon?
Good morning once again, Nigerians. Money politics in Nigeria, from a layman point of view, when you say money and politics, money means money to a layman, a means of exchange. Also, when you talk of politics in Nigeria, you talk about trying to aspire for a position in government, to be a leader or to be a ruler. Now, money politics in Nigeria is a phenomenon where people are being induced or being given something, either money or properties, to have an exchange with positions in government or leadership as a means of livelihood. So whenever you talk about having money, you talk about having money in politics, you talk about people being induced or people being promised, I will give you this if you give me that. If you vote for me, I will do this for you, I will give you this, I will give you that. So to me, that is what I understand to be money politics in Nigeria. Okay.
And how pervasive has it been?
It has been so pervasive, so bad that, it has been eaten deep in our system because of the kind of hardship we see in the country. Also, not just hardship. Some people, I would say, lack of contentment. Some people are so greedy that no matter what you do, no matter what happens, they must still go for, give me money, I will vote for you. Or vote for me, I will give you money.
Okay, that comes to our second question here. A good number of people, a good number of people, when we're looking at the origin of it, a good number of people says that money politics actually began during Babangida's tenure. But I think that if you do research a little further, you find out that money politics actually started right from the world when we started our independence, yes. All the elections. And you remember that was exactly why the first military coup, if you look at the statements of those coup plotters, they said that the polity has been corrupted, that they are throwing money anywhere, buying voters and stuff like that, corruption. Yes. Okay, now that brings me to the next question I want to ask you. What are the root causes of this very money politics in Nigeria, and how have history, cultural or social, economic contributed to its prevalence?
To the best of my knowledge, it has been a long time. Because when people began to see, let me say from the one I know, I understand. When people began to see that being in government or being in leadership is a source of livelihood, when people began to see it from that angle, that was when corruption began to sink into politics. Okay. He began with this inducement. You know, somebody that has no business anywhere, no business empire anywhere, all of a sudden he sees himself in the place of leadership in government by appointment or by whatever means, or by election. Because of his inability to manage things, he has not, you know, he uses money to bring in people to be able to cover his lapses and weaknesses. And as a result, those people that are doing those jobs, because he's not competent in those things, they will demand much. They will be demanding more things that he will have been doing.
Okay, you are saying that one of the causes is incompetence.
Yes.
That the people use money to induce,
yes,
so as the people will overlook their incompetence. What are other causes?
The other causes are, let's say, greed.
Greed.
Yes. Because when somebody...
Greed from where? Is it greed from the
electorate and the politicians?
And the politicians, okay.
Yes, because when an electorate sees a politician who ordinarily thinks he's supposed to be doing as elected officer, he doesn't do them. And when he comes for election again, the person still comes back to the same constituents and be asking for votes. And people, you see people boldly saying, we will not vote for this one again. No, he didn't do anything. But immediately that one comes with money. Immediately that politician comes back with money. I will give you this, I will give you, I will give you, I will give you. People, out of greed, they begin to collect those money, knowing fully well that this is somebody you have tested for a period of 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. He didn't do anything. But because of that, I will give you, no matter the amount the person takes, because of greed. Then from the side of the politician, he sees it from the point of, I know that there is hunger in the land.
Okay.
The only way you can, mass people for them to be silenced is give them money. Whether you do it right or you do it wrong, nobody talks. Even if they want to talk, they will be in the secret. So it's a vice versa thing. It has, the politicians are contributing, even the electorate.
Okay, you see, when we talk about money politics, before we will still go ahead with the causes, because I want us to expunge all the causes, but there is something that it seems that we are forgetting. Okay. Somebody just sent me something now and was asking, please, is it only when you give money? Is it only when you give money that we call it money politics? Or is there other things, take for instance, other inducements that makes it money politics? Take for instance, when you give a bag of rice or salt and things like that, can we say that such is also money politics?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
In fact, these days they call it palliative.
Palliative.
These days they have changed the name to palliative.
Palliative.
Government is giving palliative. But indirectly, the person that is giving that palliative knows that he is trying to induce people.
Palliative on what?
They just call it palliative. Maybe when there was cashless policy in Nigeria, people had no cash at hand. Many politicians came out with we are giving palliative. They gave you rice, they gave gari, they gave all manner of food stuff. To a kind of to mediate into the hunger in the land. But meanwhile, what they were doing was preparing some people's mind that I'm coming out for this social election, vote for me. So it's an inducement.
You know why I brought you to the studio?
Okay.
It's because you are also part of the system. You are a political party chieftain.
Yes.
And that's exactly why I bring you here. Yes. So that from your own experience, people will be able to understand this is what is called money politics. And this is the causes of it. Okay, now, if people give bag of rice,
yes,
give you wrapper,
okay,
give salt or pepper or whatsoever that it is, even when there is no cash attached to it, can we call that money politics?
Of course, in this regard now, it depends on him that has received.
Okay.
What actually he or she wants to achieve or do as regards to what he has received. There are people who are still neutral, no matter what you give to them, no matter what you do to entice them. They will still tell you, this is where I am, this is where I am.
Okay.
If he wants to vote for you, he will still vote based on what he has discovered about that individual, the competence or the what he has believed that this person can deliver about or can do about.
As a politician, has it become a cultural thing that money must exchange hand or goods must exchange hand during political campaign?
Yes, somehow it has become, but that's what we are trying to do differently in Labour Party. Okay,
we'll come to that. We'll come to that, to what you people are trying to do differently. We'll come to that. So it has become a culture now that for you to come to become an office holder in one way or the other, that you must have some money. Yes. That is to say, there is no hope for non-money bags to get into politics. Yes, that for you to get into politics, you must be a money bag or a puppet of a money bag. Yes. Okay. All right. I wonder where that is taking us to. All right. Let us ask this. How do weak institutions, lack of transparency, and poor campaign finance regulation facilitate money politics? Because people do certain things. I know for sure that in electoral laws in Nigeria, there are certain amounts that can never go into campaign fund. Okay. For instance, like maybe somebody is contesting for governorship election. Yes. And you have a campaign fund, a campaign account. There are certain amount, I can't quote for sure, but there are certain amount that cannot go into it. But people still have their ways to fund elections with the so-called money bag. Maybe they maybe even bring out some individual accounts, donations, they can give it so many other names, and being very strict about that particular one so that the law will not catch up with them. But yet, from the background or from backyard, these money are still extending hands. Now, sometimes we see a situation where they say the youths bought from for a particular person. The youth that has no job, the youth that does not make money, will now spend 10 million to go and purchase for a politician. Just imagine that kind of scenario. How reliable that kind of story can be. Okay. And we'll talk about poor campaign financial management. That's what you just explained. What about weak institutions? Take, for instance, what are the institutions that are supposed to be checkmating this frivolence in our political field? What are these very... INEC is there. These are the duties of INEC. Okay. To be able to checkmate, from funding to registration to who is the candidate to the qualification. These are the things. Even political parties are there to make some recommendations and some reports when you find out these things. But the issue is that even when you find out these things and you want to make some changes, you may not be heard. You may not be listened to, because those that will listen to you and do some things, somehow money must exchange hands. Okay, so as long as Nigeria is concerned, anything that has to do with politics, money must exchange hands. Money is involved. So what is our future then? Our future is that sometimes, before the colonial masters came, we had cultures, we had beliefs. Okay. Now, when they came initially, so many things, they brought so many initiatives. They came with hospitals, they came with schools. People started going to school to learn, to study, to do things differently and better way. Now, but today, people go to school, instead of them to come out to do things better, they worsen the situation. For instance, we have technology all over these days.
which we should have been using to better our lives.
Okay.
But people, you still find people who venture into it and use it for criminality.
Okay. Now that we are talking about this, the causes of money politics, that you just mentioned that was as long as politics is concerned, whosoever that must come to politics must have some money.
Yes.
If you don't have money, you must have one who have money,
yes.
or you have one who knows one that has money.
Yes.
Okay. Based on that, what do you think is the impact? What are the impacts or consequences of money politics in Nigeria, in our Nigerian democracy? What is it, including its effect on electoral integrity and governance, and also representation? Let us look at it from there. Well, first of all, what is its impact on democracy? Then the electoral processes, and then we talk about representation.
The first of all, from my view, is that we end up enthroning incompetent hands.
Okay.
In government. We will keep on recycling incompetent hands in government. Incompetence here is not that the person is not matured enough or doesn't have academic qualification. He has everything, but when it comes to the managerial process, where is this person coming from? What has he managed in the past? What are the lifestyle he has lived in the past? These are the things that will help him to grow now, because if a house does not have a foundation, that house must definitely collapse.
So what does money politics do to our democracy?
What it does to our democracy is still the same thing, in line with what I'm still saying. That we end up electing the people who cannot do the job well. Who cannot do it well.
Who cannot do the job well.
Yes.
And that is why we are seeing all sorts of things we are seeing in the system.
Yes.
They say democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
In words that it is, but in action it is not like that.
And one of the features of democracy is about elections.
Of course.
And if we are now having too much people who have money, that means there will be no election, but we will buy our candidates.
Of course.
Okay, that's another problem to the democracy. What do we say that it is in terms of effects on electoral process? Money politics, what does it do on our electoral process?
It does a lot of things. Sometimes even the electorate, they would decide not to be part of it, because when they feel that their votes most times don't count, they will feel discouraged. And when you tell them to vote again, they will say, no, that why am I voting?
Leading to political apathy.
Of course. Because he will tell you that the one I voted last time, it didn't count. Why will I vote again? And once this discouragement continues, it makes people not to believe in the system. Even when the right person comes, it makes people still not to believe in that. No matter what the person does, people will always say, he's working to please the Mr. A, or he's working to please Mr. Because they have been discouraged not to be part of the system. But if they are encouraged to be part of the system, even when you voted for somebody and that person does not win, because you are part of the process and you are part of the election, the other person you did not vote wins, you will support him. As even as a electorate, when he does what is right, you say, thank God for this one. Even though I didn't support you, but here now, what you did here is right. What you did there is right. But when people are not even part of the process at all, if you like, do it well, it's your business. If you don't do it well, they will always tell you, what is my business? I'm not part of it, I'm not part of it.
And what is its impact on our governance then?
The impact there now
because we talk about good governance.
Of course, the impact there now is that, one, even for people to pay their taxes, government will fight them. Because people will resist them. Okay. Because when it's time for you to pay your tax and everything, people will say, no, what is government doing for me? Because it believes, even when the right person is doing the right thing, they will tell you, government is not doing anything for me. I do my road, I power my house, I give myself water. What is there for government? What is government doing for me there?
And there will also be this kind of misplaced priority.
Of course.
Because you bought that seat you are in.
Of course.
You don't think about the people and what they need.
Yes.
What you are so much interested is how much did I spend? I must recoup my money because it's a business as usual.
Yes.
I remember one elected governor. I will not mention his name. One elected governor. He said it open to journalists. He said, do you know how much I spent to be here that I am today? Okay. You understand? I don't want to quote anybody. Yes. He said, do you know how much I spent to be where I am today? That is to say, you bought it. And now when you bought it, you buy it. For every business you spend money in, you're expecting your returns, you're expecting your profit. And when you must have not make your profit, there is no need of looking elsewhere so as to say, what does the people want so for me to do? So it has a great burden on our good governance. Yes. In terms of representation.
Representation here, you know, people think that representation is all about who is there for us. Mm-hmm. But true representation is when you know the needs of your constituents. Mm-hmm. For instance, if somebody is elected to be a senator or a House of Representative member or even a House of Assembly member. Mm-hmm. Let me use House of Assembly for instance. Mm-hmm. Assuming your constituency is about, let's say, 2 to 3 local government, or 2 to 3 communities or 4 communities. Mm-hmm. And in those 4 communities, they speak different dialects. Mm-hmm. They speak different dialects. Maybe community number 1, their challenge may be they don't have water, mm-hmm. good water, so that's good drinking water.
Good drinking water.
Another community, they don't have water drainage for their farms, still mm-hmm. water problem. Mm-hmm. Another one has a problem of erosion, same water. Mm-hmm. Now, it has to do with if there is a good representation, that representative will call for stakeholders meeting. Mm-hmm. The same water, this one is lacking mm-hmm. to drink.
This one is too much for this side and it's causing erosion.
Erosion here. Mm-hmm. This one is lacking it for farming.
For farming.
You come together because there's not one tree that will make forest.
Not at all.
You are just a representative when you call them together. What is your challenge? What is your challenge? What is your challenge? They will not sit and say, this is it. How are we going to reduce this water which is causing problem here mm-hmm. to become useful here that they don't even have at all? Mm-hmm. Or that they have but they can't drink it? Mm-hmm. How are we going to do it? But it is those people now that are sitting there will give you the clue of what should be done. But when you don't consult them, you believe that I am the representative, all you need to go and consult them to vote for you. And once you go and canvass for vote, they are voting for you.
Because you are paying for the vote.
Because you are paying for the vote.
Okay.
But when they are part of your policy making. They are part of your decisions. They are part of everything you do because you are representing them. It's just like a father who goes out and say, I'm here on behalf of my family, myself and my family. You won't be expecting the father. You don't can go to the father now and say, okay, how much do you need for your family? Or how many children do you have? Or what do you want? Because you know them, you know your family already. Once you go out, maybe somebody wants to give them scholarship, for instance, you give your children scholarship. You know that this one is necessary. His school fees is 10,000 naira. This one is in SS1. The school fees is 8,000 naira. We put them together and say, to whoever that wants to give them scholarship, the school fees is 18,000 naira. That's all. But when you are not representing the interests of those children, you don't know what the children want. And somebody asks you outside there, what do the children want?
You can never say because you do not know.
Suffering.
You do not know because you don't see them.
You don't see them.
You don't interact with them. You only come when it is 4 years that my tenure is about to end and I want to elongate my tenure. Yes. I needed to go and buy them over and you do what you think is expected of you by giving them money. That comes to, you see that one of the principles of the election is free and fair election. Yes. The election must be free and fair. Yes. So when we talk about money politics, does money politics give room for free and fair election?
It doesn't now. Even a layman knows that.
Okay.
How does it happen? Somebody may wake up this morning to go and vote. he has made up his mind, I'm voting for so person, maybe because he had the person when the person was campaigning or trying to sell his manifesto. He had the person say, I will do this, I will do that. But getting to the point of the polling unit where you want to vote, you will see party agents or the representative of that particular candidate who are with money. They will tell you, if you vote for our party, show us, we will give you money, we will give you such amount. And people will still out of hardship or hunger or greed, or I don't know what I will call it, lack of contentment. How much is 5,000 naira or even 10,000 naira? Somebody will give you
to mortgage 4 years.
To mortgage 4 years. How much is it? And you see that it is nothing. If it is not lack of contentment, people are not contented with. People
can we call that lack of contentment? Because I am thinking that, don't you think that the politicians are actually doing what they're doing in order to impoverish the people, so that because they say he who pays the piper determines the tone of the music. Take for instance, I am supposed to be employed and I am not employed.
Yes.
I am supposed to go to farm and cultivate something for me to get food for me to eat.
Yes.
And there insecurity is there, and the government is not doing anything to make sure that I can go to my farm freely.
Yes.
And go and I'll be alone, I'll be in the house. I don't have food to eat. And you come around to me and tell me, hey, next week or next year I am going to come back to be your this and that. Take this 20,000 naira. You understand?
Yes.
And I don't have 1 naira in my pocket. There is no food in my house. And my children need to eat food. My children need to pay school fees.
Yes.
And you give me that 20,000 naira and tell me I have to vote for you. If it is you, don't you think that this is a deliberate plan?
Most times we don't want to pay supreme prices.
Okay.
For us to have independence in Nigeria, there were people that paid prices. Do you think that the colonial master didn't want to buy some people over? There were people who rejected the offers of colonial masters and insisted we want independence.
Okay.
How many are there today? Even when they knew what they would have gained. Maybe the colonial masters would have told them, I will take all your families to Britain. Everybody but there were people who stood their ground, even when they had everything, or they did not even have, they stood their ground. The problem is that we don't want to pay supreme prices. And unfortunately, it's trickling down to our families today. Most parents don't pay supreme prices again for their children to rise. And, it is gradually becoming a trend. It is gradually becoming a trend. Because nobody cares. All I need is today, just give me today. If we finish about today, what of tomorrow?
They want the money in bulk.
Even when you want that, because some people even when they get that money in bulk, because of the inducement, because they don't have any business plan, give them 1 million naira. By 2 weeks' time, that 1 million naira is no more, because he has no business plan. It's not about giving him the money. That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have business plan because he believes that more will be coming.
No, how long will more be coming? Because he himself knows that more will not be coming, because the person that is giving me that money just needs it. Maybe you go to the market now to buy a pair of shoes, and you just bring. They say how much is a pair of shoes? They say 20,000. You give them 20,000. Are you coming back to the same shop again tomorrow and collect another pair of shoes without paying? You still pay again. So the person that has paid you today knows that he has bought the one of today. And then anytime he still wants to buy another one, if he's willing to buy again, that he will come again. And when does he normally buy? After 4 years.
And because
if you have a customer that buys once in 4 years,
that's not a customer.
You don't have a customer.
That you don't have business.
You don't have business. But people, ignorantly and foolishly, still buys or subscribe to this, and they call it business. So, which means even if you are running you are into real estate, and you bought land, you built, you have 200, 500 houses in an estate, and you sell once in 4 years. How about? You don't have a business.
It's not a business. It's not a business because the money you sold, you must have spent it in the next 4 years.
If a plot of land in that estate is, let's say 10 naira, or let's say 10,000 naira, The whole of the, okay, you bought the whole of the estate is 10,000 naira. And once in 4 years, you just sell one at 100,000. You are not making business.
It's not business at all.
You are not making profit. Because that 90,000 you think you have made today, you had spent it more than that in 4 years.
In 4 years, okay. Let us look at, before we go to mitigation, let us look at those consequences that we've been talking about. Let us bring it home to Nigeria. Let us look at few issues that we can say that it is the money politics that brought it about. Probably road network. In recent time, along Nyanya Road, along Nyanya Karu Bridge, Nyanya Road, there was incident, accident, explosions. Yes. There are people who are supposed to be doing some work there, is that not?
Of course.
There are some certain policies made that certain vehicles are not supposed to move when they are supposed not to move.
Of course.
To you, do you think that such policies are supposed to be there if the system is actually working?
Yes.
Okay.
The policies are there for good governance.
For good governance. That's exactly where I want to come. Then I want us to link it to this very money politics that we are talking about, because lives were lost.
Of course. I was discussing recently with a legislator, and I was saying, sometimes you see in the markets people who are hawking knives. People who are hawking knives. And I was asking him, is there not, wouldn't there be a legislative action about this? That it is dangerous if somebody is hawking knife with the market.
From one street to another.
Yes.
If the street own, the market own is quite different, because that is in the market.
All of them, because hawking it in the market, maybe two people might be fighting, and somebody sees
knife.
Somebody who is hawking knife, can collect the knife and injure somebody. Just like people can be fighting and you see plank, you see wood, you see everything, you can use it. Now, the legislator just told me that the policy is there already.
There's a law.
There's a law
under
that already.
But some people refuse to enforce it. And how do we relate it to this money politics thing that we're talking about?
I'm trying to come to the place of the incident that happened along Nyanya Kalu Bridge. Now, before now, they have said that there are some vehicles that have been prohibited not to be plying that route in the daytime. But there are people who are there to enforce that rule or that law. Where are they? What are they doing? Even after that accident, you are still seeing trucks plying that route. But I know that there was a time in Lagos State when the one governor, I forgot, I think it was His Excellency that said that no trucks will ply on the highways on the daytime because of this kind of things, and he maintained it.
Why is it that when people see those trucks plying in the daytime, they look elsewhere? Why?
I believe, I don't know, but I believe something, either they must have been,
maybe because the man who is in charge there has paid his way through.
Of course.
He paid for that seat, and for that, if a truck person goes and sorts, things will work out and they move out their way. Again, I am coming to this. Apart from the Nyanya issue, there is this Suleja explosion. Apart from Suleja, there are other places in is it in Katsina State or is it Jigawa State? There was in Jigawa State fuel explosion and things like that. And we all know that carrying fuel along our street, because of both the sun, the long distance, and every other thing that is involved, there is tendency of explosion and so on and so forth. Do you think that if we have rail lines, the rail lines will not convey fuels from Port Harcourt to wherever it is going to, or from Edo State, wherever that fuel is being brought to wherever it should go to. Don't you think that money politics involved is also part of why such things are not happening and people are dying?
You have been going far by talking about rail lines. We are not, there's no place in the north here where we get crude oil. Mm-hmm. But we get it in the Niger Delta. Mm-hmm. And pipes were laid from Niger Delta to Kaduna for refineries. You bring oil from there, you go to Kaduna. Why wouldn't pipes also be laid
to take it to central places where people will now collect it and
to state headquarters and get it there? Because if anybody, how can you be carrying fuel all the way from Lagos to Sokoto?
You know why I mentioned that rail?
Yes.
Because if it carries oil, it will also carry human beings and other goods.
Yes.
But when we lay pipe will be specifically for it. Okay. Because of our time, let us look at mitigation. What role can electoral reforms and campaign finances, electoral reforms on campaign finances regulation play so as to ameliorate this incessant money politics in Nigeria?
We have laws and rules already, well stipulated.
Okay.
In Nigeria, in every part of Nigeria, and what we want to achieve. Where we have problem is enforcement. If you say that, for instance, if somebody, the basic criteria, the basic academic qualification one is supposed to have to contest for an election, I think is school cert. Now, if you say that it is school cert that one is supposed to have, let it be. Not when somebody does not have it and he buys his way up. And people will try to say, it is true that he doesn't have this one, but I know he can deliver. There is a laid-down rule. Let us follow every laid-down rule. If to come to this studio, for instance, requires that everybody must wear white. Everybody must wear white is the rule. And somebody somewhere just comes in and say, it's my father that is the MD of this place, and he wears black or wears red. And people will begin to say, allow him now, he's Oga's son, he's Oga's daughter. You have violated the rule.
Yeah, the famous slogan.
Another person who is still seeing it can be executive director's brother. And he won't do the same thing. That is how it begins to diminish. But if we have rules and say, this is how we do it, whether you are from the east, or you are from the west, you are from the north, you are from the south, this is how things are being done. And it is being maintained. There's no, we are getting it now. But when it becomes certain rules will be bent. Okay. It becomes certain rules will be bent.
How can civil society organizations, media group, and individual citizen contribute to mitigate the influence of money politics?
Civil society group, media houses, individuals. What matters is stand your ground.
Stand your ground.
And stand by the truth.
Okay.
I know that there was a time, I think in 2012 or thereabout, January 1, when the then government removed subsidy. Yeah. The labor union, civil society organizations, they stood up against it, and government reversed it. Government reversed that. But today, some of the people that shouted then are the people today, when things are not normal, they try to justify because they are in power today. So if we keep working this way, that when it favors me, it is right.
I'll keep quiet.
No, it is right.
Because when it doesn't favor me,
we have this problem in leadership, from government to the town union to the states to everywhere. When it favors me, it is right. But when it doesn't favor me, no, I will criticize it. I will use all manner of things to criticize it. But when it favors me, what matters is this thing, in line with the rules? Okay. Even when it does not favor me, the first question must be, Is it in line with the rules?
Okay.
That is when I will start criticizing. But when it is still in line with the rules, I will still criticize, maybe because I'm in power today, or because I'm in government today. And people will begin to whip in sentiments. This one happened like this one. No. But if we maintain our rules, like a father in the house or a mother in the house, or MD in a company says, this thing, if you come late in the office, if you come late to the office by 10 o'clock, I will take percentage of your salary by this. Everybody will be running to meet up. And that is why if you see maybe some of the businessmen who wants to maintain integrity, if you like, be his younger brother, if you like, be his twin brother, and you are working in that company, what is good for Mr. A must be good for Mr. B. He will put it, if you want to work, you work. You can be with your friends and relations outside his business. But when it comes to his business, he wants to bend certain things and he will be losing customers because you are his brother. He will sack you. Except he doesn't know what he's doing. But if he knows what he's doing, he will not allow anything that will deteriorate that business.
Okay, there is this trend. That when you see politicians, like EFCC will come up with a charge or allegation, or they have investigated.
Yes.
And they said, what we have investigated, we find you culpable of this so embezzling so and so amount of money, and they take the person to court.
Yes.
And before you know it, you see some people, they will carry placard. No, he did not do anything. Hey, he did not do anything. They are defending the governor of a particular state, and in their places they don't have food to eat. In their places, as they are coming to carry that placard, the road they pass was it is bad. Before they leave their house, they don't have water to drink, good water to drink. They bought the water they were drinking, and they don't have hospitals. If they want to go to hospital, they have to go to other neighboring states in order to go and
get water to drink.
Treatment.
Yeah.
And yet, the same man who impoverished them, because his agent has distributed maybe 5,000 naira as they normally do during the campaign, they will come out and have placard and say he didn't do anything. What do we say to that? Because that's part of because of our time, we were just rushing. What do you think about it?
You see part of what I said earlier. People do a lot of things in the name of I am hungry. But as a minister of the gospel, which I am also one of them, I always preach. I have made an article on the topic that says, no matter how hungry you are, don't eat for the dustbin.
No matter how hungry you are, don't eat from the dustbin. That goes to say, what is your conclusion? How do we are concluding? What are your recommendations?
My recommendation
so as to
is to INEC, to executive body of government. Every rule and law in Nigeria that is invoked should be adhered to. It doesn't need to bend one or two, because the one you bend today and somebody cries foul and you become deaf about it, tomorrow you may not be in power. The other person will bend another one, you may cry foul again, the person will not listen to. And this is how the injustice you celebrated today, because it doesn't concern you, because you are not a victim. Tomorrow you can be a victim, another person will celebrate it.
Okay.
But when you call injustice, it doesn't matter whether you are a victim or not. By tomorrow, if you become a victim of that same injustice, somebody will cry. I say, no, this is injustice. But when it becomes Madam today, boy will celebrate. After all, it doesn't concern me.
It's Madam.
It's Madam. When it becomes boy tomorrow, Madam will also keep quiet. And even if out of emotions, Madam wants to act, somebody will ask him, is it not that same boy that when you were this, he celebrated? But if we maintain rules, justice as they are, everybody will live in peace. Everybody will go as.
All right, Mr. Chukwunonso, you see, next month comes 2026, FCT area council election will come up.
Okay.
What is your recommendation concerning, what are you telling them concerning money politics?
What I'm saying is, first of all, electorate should be ready. Know the terrains of FCT, the challenges. Now, if anybody is contesting for election and comes to canvass for votes to you, and you tell the person, this is our need, this is our... The response alone, my people say that any chicken that will be a cock, you will know it while it's still going up.
Okay.
Now, from there, you will begin to put up some questions. The issue is that people are contesting. They don't go to electorates. They don't ask them questions. They don't even make themselves available for questions. All they do, they might go to media. You see posters everywhere.
Okay, what they do is simply prepare for the palliative.
Prepare for the palliative.
Okay.
And the whole thing is done.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chukwunonso, for being part of this very program. And I believe that when next I call you, you will oblige us. Viewers out there, we've been discussing money politics in Nigeria. We have looked at the origin of money politics. We've looked at causes of money politics. We've talked about the mitigation. How do we stop it? And he has just profiled his own recommendations on what to do.